Alaska in the native tongue means great kinds of many Americans. It is great, great in size. This desolate region became a part of the United States in 1867, when William Henry Seward, then Secretary of State, completed negotiations for its purchase from the Imperial Russian government at a cost of $7 million. This barren territory was to produce many harrowing experiences for those who strove to pry into its frozen secrets. Explorers had to arrive by sea and, often unaware of the climatic conditions of this region, were forced either to battle their way through the dangerous ice floes or remain icebound. Then one day in the fall of 1890, the native wife of George Washington Carmack, fishing in the Klondike River, discovered that precious yellow mineral. It was too true to the outside world. Not until a leaky wooden tramp steamer jumped into what is now called Puget Sound, Seattle, then a small sawmill town, airs of the world hummed the electric word, gold. The trip from Seattle to this Northland was filled with stories lost and claims stolen. Finally, the boat docked at Skagway, then on to Dyea at the foot of Chilkoot Pass. This was the last outpost, where all gathered and awaited favorable conditions for the trip, known as the worst trail this side of Hades. Many times dangers arose even after the trip was started. It took a long time to make the climb over the 3,500-foot rise. Often one of the warm winds, called Chinook, started to blow without warning, and invariably an avalanche resulted. This added greatly to the hazards of the journey. A Chinook in Chilkoot Pass meant almost certain disaster. Thus did Alaska test those who wooed her favor. Further and further into the wilderness, those now hardy sourdoughs pressed. Every creek and stream bed knew the tramp of their feet and the gold paths. But the lure of the Northland was upon them. They succumbed to the spell of those enchanted distances at the edge of the world. There they have remained to forge an empire of peace and prosperity in the land they once might have cursed, but later learned to love. This indomitable spirit to achieve a goal once set upon finds a flaming counterpart in the king salmon of Alaska's roaring streams. A familiar sight to any who have traveled the rivers of this far north is seeing the salmon jump. At spawning time, they go from the ocean into the fresh waters, and they let no physical handicap, such as rapids or falls, hinder them from reaching their destinations. As we follow the course of the rivers, we're beginning to realize that Alaska is not all ice and snow, but instead is a land of scenic beauty, rich in natural and animal resources. Seward was right after all. There is much more here than icebergs and glaciers. We know now that spring has arrived, as the bears have come from their winter hibernation and are busily satisfying their hunger. We're amused to see a mother and cub, half playing, half intent on the business at hand. Need we say they're catching salmon for their lunch? Progressing further, we see more of nature's wonderland. Sparkling blue lakes with snow-capped mountains touching the sky. Vast solitudes and far horizons, still untouched by man. Wildlife that knows no fear, unaware of the dangers of gun and shell. Herds of moose frolicking in the river, enjoying spring and early summer while they last. The caribou, which is a species of the reindeer of Northern America, swimming the rivers they love so well and enjoying nature at its best. Little did those pioneers of snowbound '98 who paved the way to this rugged land realize the enchantment of Alaska's summer season. The journey down the river starts by moonlight, giving still another beautiful vista for us to remember as we head once more for the seacoast. Our arrival in Nome is marked with the celebration of native dancing girls. It might be interesting to note that these Eskimo dancing girls are markedly similar, in a great many ways, to the Aboriginal maidens of our Plains Indians, the Hopis and the Navajos. The dancing is not limited to the fair sex, however. What the men lack in the charm and grace of the girls, they make up for in their expressions. Here, art and expression give way to muscle, or maybe they're warming up for a football game, or could it possibly be a ballet troupe limbering up for a concert? Today, vast herds of reindeer roam the tundras in the vicinity of Nome. Few realize that the reindeer is not a native of this continent. They were brought over Alaska from Lapland by our government to provide a food supply for the Eskimo when his natural food, the seal, the walrus, and caribou, became diminished from overhunting. Apart from the mineral industries, salmon fishing and canning is most important. Over 2/3 of the world's supply of canned salmon comes from Alaska. The yearly yield of this table delicacy averages over 250,000 tons, worth in dollars 6 to 7 times the original cost of Seward's Folly. Other fish of lesser importance are herring, cod, and halibut. Perhaps a time may come when Uncle Sam will say, "I need more coal, and our oil is running low. I have to go elsewhere for my meat and fish, and my banks have no more gold. I need copper, tin, iron, and oil for my factories." Well, when that time comes, Alaska can say, "It's here, everything you're looking for. Just come and get it, and it's yours." Fishing is no easy job. No Alaskan pioneer knows more hardships or privation than the halibut or cod fishermen who have supplied the states with more than 1 million pounds of halibut in a single day. As the country was developed, people came to realize that commodities other than gold offered valuable returns, and other great profits were taken from waters of this northern empire. The fishing business alone would have well repaid Uncle Sam for the purchase of his icebox. Sealing was practically the only industry in Alaska when the United States purchased this country. The supply of these valuable sea mammals has been greatly reduced since they were used for their oil, fur, and hides. Now our government has undertaken their protection. This copper mine is the richest in the whole world and has produced in a single shipment more than the cost of the entire Alaskan territory. The introduction of hydraulic mining has replaced the individual. Huge jets of water are used to wash away the sides of mountains, and then the gold is recovered from the loosened mass of earth. The unrivaled Alaska has finally been discovered by tourists and has become one of America's most famous vacation lands. Up-to-date cities have replaced the old boomtown days of the gold rush, and their cultural significance is on a par with those of like size in the United States. The smooth inside passage, once the terror of the sourdough, has been proclaimed one of the most beautiful of our modern waterways. Little does one realize while riding in the luxurious trains that wind their way up the slopes to the dizzy heights of this pass, that surveyors had to be lowered on ropes as much as 1,000 feet from these very cliffs to lay out the course of right-of-way which men said could not be built. Too much praise cannot be given those valiant men who blazed the way, those sourdoughs who pioneered this, America's last frontier, and the far-sighted engineers who planned and executed this railroad. To those who did what could not be done and brought this land of beauty within the reach of all, our sincere commendation. The first train to make the passage from the interior to the sea carried over $2 million worth of gold in its baggage cars. Gold from one of the countless hundreds of Alaska's mines produced in a few short years a revenue 9 times greater than the whole sum paid for Alaska. From her vast resources, Alaska has paid into the coffers of the United States government many thousand times its purchase price. As our modern today crowds unforgettable yesterday from the Alaskan scene, may we pay homage to those valiant ones who sleep their last long sleep in the land they helped to build, even by their failure. Theirs was a courageous trek into an hospitable, unknown land. May their pioneering spirits rest from a job well done. Regretfully taking leave of these majestic mountains towering high in their frozen splendor, we wend our way homeward, chuckle ourselves, SEWARD'S FOLLY.